The topic is African American Unity for Success. And of course, we're talking to the pastor of the Hands of God Christian Church, Pastor Kelvin Walker. And of course, Pastor Walker, let me continue our conversation during this last segment, dealing with some of the items or some of the barriers in a real sense to African American unity. And one of those items that I think that you've mentioned quite often has been some of the problems that are faced by many of our young people who have been incarcerated and who are coming out. Let's talk about it from that perspective.
I think because there is a lack of unity within the black race and within the black community, that a lot of people are getting misinformation. And I was fed that same misinformation that as a young black male that, you know, I wasn't really significant, you know, and even though I could see people of significance of my own race, but I was still taught that I was insignificant.
Very good.
And I would never amount to anything, but you're just, you know, just a regular run-of-the-mill coming everyday street hustler. And I chose that route, and a lot of our people are choosing that route today. And what is happening is, Dr. Haney, as a result of that, they are finding themselves incarcerated in the prison system because there are more black males in prison than there are on college campuses. And you very well know that. But, you know, the thing is, there has got to be a solution to that. And that's got to be a coming together, because you got to look at, and I need to touch this real quick, and that is when you got other cultures that come into our country, they create businesses and stuff, and they start businesses, and it's not that they have anything against any other culture, whether it be the Caucasians or black Americans or whoever, but the thing is that they have a respect and a nurturing for their own culture. So when they start a business, they hire within their own culture. It's not that they don't have anything, that they have anything against us. It's just that that's the way they do, because they're united and they're supporting each other. So we have to look at that as well. And when it comes in terms of supporting, especially the black males that are getting incarcerated in our prison systems and are coming back into our society and that don't have that support that they need to become productive, because now you know you got the strikes against you. You used to be able to say, you know, without thinking that, you know, well, I got one strike, I'm black. Well, you can't even really use that. The strike you got now is that you have a felony conviction on your record, which shuts doors in your face. So it's going to take some black people getting together, creating some businesses, and to be able to give these black men and women, of course, too, chances when they're coming out of the system to be employed. And you got to put that trust. See, whereas they use fear, we got to remove that fear. We can't have that fear of helping them and moving them along. We can't have that distrust of them just because they committed a crime. And we can't be envious. You know, a lot of times you're not going to envy somebody coming out of the system anyway, unless they come out and then they start excelling. Then people will start envying them. But that's a part of that mindset, that mentality that we have. But Dr. Haney, there's some solutions that, you know, and I think one of the things, the churches got to become proactive in this thing.
Very good.
I think pastors need to really make it included in them. If they're not going to include it in their sermons, then they need to have, like I have in my church, I have a part in my church service called Pastor's Moment. And I address different issues about voter registration and anything that I feel like is pertinent to people knowing and that's going to be pertinent to their growing. And I think we need to do that and encourage, you know, the unification of our people as a whole in terms of buying businesses and helping other people and just coming together as a whole in our communities and stuff like that, because Dr. Haney, if we don't do it, it won't get done.
You know, and another thing, I think that we're dealing with historical black colleges. I think that that's another item that could benefit with African American unity, because many of our institutions are not being supported.
That's true.
And especially when many of these institutions are giving us the great degrees. You see, and I ought not to say this, because I also received a great degree from a historical black college, and I've not done all that I could possibly do in terms of support. But we need more of that, you see, and I need to become more involved in that, because these institutions served as a major method whereby we were able to move, but after we were able to move, then we don't have the kind of unity that could reach back and provide the financial resources for these institutions.
And it would be a shame upon us as a people, as a black American people, to allow historically black colleges to fold and disappear. I mean, that would have been an indictment against the black race to let that happen, to sit back and watch that thing happen. You know, regardless of if you have been in college or you have haven't been in college, but the thing is that these places, they do exist, and I feel like we're obligated to do whatever we can to make sure that they stay in existence and not be something that folds and fades away. You know, you just can't watch stuff, you know, going down the tube and then just wave goodbye. You can't do
without
that.
It having some impact upon you.
Absolutely.
And of course, what I think the two of us are saying now is that this is one of the elements that will create the kind of unity that we need simply by at least rallying around some of the things that we believe in and some of the positive things that we believe in.
And you know, some people will say, and I want to say this, some people will say that, you know, if a black person got a store, then they're going to sell their products higher. And in some situations they do. So I encourage those store owners, business people to make their products comparable, you know, to the products that they can go and get anywhere else. And then folks to trust in your people that are doing these things, that are in business, and support them. Help them do what they do. I'm in business. I got a clothing business that I do, and I've got a telecommunication business that I do as a home-based business as well. And you know, a lot of people would not support you, even though you got products and services that are even cheaper than what they're paying for, and they still won't support.
They'd rather pay the higher price.
Absolutely. And that's that fear that you're going to give them a bad product or a bad service. That's that distrust, because nothing based upon nothing else but the fact that you're black.
Okay.
And then there's that envy, because, you know, you're doing something that, and a lot of times your success, Dr. Haney, will remind people of their failure, and they shouldn't look at it like that. And they should not look at it like that. They should really, you know, we should really press in as a people and elevate ourselves above the mindset that we currently have and go on and move forward. And when you catch yourself talking negatively about a black person, that they're gonna be late because they on CP time and all that, you have to stop that. You can see, because that mind, that thought process, it got to stop with you, because if you stop it, I stop it, and then that means we don't have that thing to teach to our children or to the next generation, so they'll grow up without that thing. But as it is right now, they're growing up with that thing. They're growing up with that fear, that distrust, and that envy, and we've got to stop it. It's on us. We got to do that.
And I think, as a matter of fact, we are the only ones that can stop it.
We're the only ones that can.
And I think some things that groups and cultures have to deal with that can only be dealt with by those groups and those cultures. Nobody can make you responsible or whatever. It's something that has to come from within.
There's no law that Congress can pass and say black people respect one another, honor one another, do business with one another. We just have to change our mindset, and the way we're going to have to do that, we're going to have to empower ourselves with knowledge of our past and who we are, because, you know, with knowledge of the past, you can, with confidence, chart a course for the future. So a lot of times we don't understand, we don't know our past. There's a lot of young black males out here right now on our streets, man, that don't understand the past. They don't understand the struggle. They don't understand the 60s. They don't understand how that we are not that far removed from when the police were letting the dogs go. The police was, when there was fire hosing folks that was marching for the rights of black people. But now once we get those rights, then we want to squander those rights and living in disunity and lack of respect and trust for one another. And we got to stop that, Dr. Haney. We got to stop that. If we don't stop it, we will never, ever experience the levels of success that we can have as a people. I can be successful, you can be successful, but we need everybody within the race to be successful in their own right. And if we don't break the mindset, then it'll never happen.
I think one of our great politicians said at one time, the rising tide raises all the boats.
All right.
Which is say that no matter who we are, that if everybody work together, then whether we're talking about Africans, African Americans, white Americans, Hispanic Americans, and etc., the only way that all of us can rise is that all of us have to go together.
We all have to go together.
You can't go and leave anybody behind.
That's
right. And of course, we've got about a minute before we end this discussion in a real sense. Today, Pastor Walker, and I just want to thank you for introducing this kind of information to us here today, and for having what I consider to be courage to talk about topics that were race-specific and do it in such a way that is for the benefit not only for Africans, but for the benefit for all. Because as the African-American goes, so goes America. There's no doubt about that. That if we suffer, then America suffers. But if we can be successful, then America is successful. And I do believe that America is successful, but America can be much more successful than America is. And I just want to thank you for bringing by that information. And And let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.